So welcome to Real Estate Stories. I'm your host, Cody Coda. This is my co-host, Jake McClure, with us.
How's everyone doing?
We've got a special guest for you guys today, a legend, if you will, in real estate, Tara Levinson. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. A legend is extreme, but thank you for that.
Well, I would say nothing less than that. So we'll just go ahead and jump into it. So what brought you to real estate, Tara?
I was young, very young. I was 24 going on 25, and I had made an offer on a house, and the agent didn't even present the offer, and it went into multiple offers. And I'm a super aggressive person in life in general, in every area of my life. So they presented the offer, or they didn't present the offer, and so we lost out on this house that we were looking at when we were 24. It was some house in Fox Lake a long time ago, and I told my husband, I was like, well, I can do better than that. So I ended up getting into real estate. We're going to flip a couple houses whenever we got in, and then my dad was going to help us, but then he passed away. So I thought, well, I have this license and I paid for it. I probably should do something with it. And it just kind of went from there. I started out with Coldwell Banker Mike Jones. I loved Mike Jones. He was an incredible man. Then I went to Keller Williams, and I was with Keller Williams for many, many years. And I loved Keller Williams. I think Gary and Keller is just an incredible man as well. And then we decided to start our own thing. So we've been doing our own company since April of last year, so a little over a year.
So, real quick on that on that offer situation, it was multiple offers. How did you find out that the agent didn't even submit the offer?
He told me. He said, I went to the lake this weekend and I forgot to submit the offer, and somebody else won the house.
That is outrageous.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. So what were you doing before you got into real estate?
I worked for a company called Pacesetter. They're a window company. They're out of business right now, but they had the best sales training I've ever experienced in my life. Still to this day, I think they're, after everything I've gone through, and I train myself a lot. I go to a lot of different educational based programs. In fact, we're platinum partners with Tony Robbins right now, and we love that too. And I've seen all of Tony's trainings, but I still think Pacesetter did an incredible job of training me in sales. But yeah, they were a window company that sold windows that cost $1,000 a piece, which obviously is why they're out of business now.
Right.
Yeah, but it was a great company, and I worked for them for 4 years, I think.
Was it a door knocking type company or cold calls, or how'd you get business doing that?
They had a telemarketing company, and their telemarketers set our appointments, and then we went in with the sales department and did it. We were the salespeople that went into the houses and sold in-house sales.
That sounds very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar business model.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what do you think keeps you in real estate today?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure I can know how to do anything else other than real estate. But I love the business. Uncertainty is one of my core values that I have to have. I have to have change, and things are constantly changing in real estate. Every day is a new day, a different client, and all that. So I love it.
That's interesting that, uncertainty is something that you look for, and most people, they look for certainty and what's normal. So that's interesting that you're going after constant change and keeping your mind engaged. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that I'm so certain in a lot of areas of my life. I've been with my husband since I was 14, and
Wow.
we've got grown kids. And so I have so much certainty in those areas that I need uncertainty in my work life.
A little bit of gamble.
Yeah, exactly. And real estate's that. I mean, you get to create every day what's going to happen.
All right.
Would you say you're an adrenaline junkie or no?
No, I don't think. I mean,
You want to go that far?
I don't know. I mean, I love exciting things, and I love to do exciting things. But I don't like to hurt myself. So I probably am not an adrenaline junkie.
Okay. Have you done anything that I don't know, skydiving or anything outside the box as far as looking for change or something that gets you excited outside of real estate? What's your vice, so to speak, that's new and changing?
So I don't do a ton of stuff outside of the business. Me and Peter, we both work in the business, my husband, so we do a
Mhm.
lot of that. But what we usually we kayak, we ride bikes, we work out. I mean, we're big outdoor people, and we love to travel. At least we used to love to travel. We'll see how
Right.
that goes after all this is over.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot of that. We've rock climbed and done stuff like that. But
Okay.
I've never skydived. I had this thing growing up growing up, I had kids me and Peter had kids when we were 16 and 18. So I always said, you're not allowed to jeopardize your life till your kids are old enough.
Hmm.
And now I have a grandbaby, so I'm like, I shouldn't jeopardize my life now because
Just moving the goalpost a little bit, but
yeah, exactly. So I try to stay safe. I mean, Peter, he surfs, and every time he's like, we should go surfing. I was like, well, there's two reasons I'm not going to surf. I don't enjoy drowning, and that's what you
right.
do the whole time you're surfing. You're just like slowly drowning. And I
Mhm.
said, I really don't want to get eaten by a shark. And I've seen that video, not getting eaten by a shark.
Yeah, those are definitely fears that I share. When I went to Hawaii a couple years ago, I was trying to surf and I was trying to pick it up, but just the whole time I was like, man, I don't like the taste of salt water. And if I'm drowning with salt water, that's like hell. And if I get bit by a shark and a leg, goes, I'm gonna be sad about it.
Yeah, who wants to lose one of their legs? Let's be
Right. Unless you get one of
Yeah.
those like robotic legs that make me faster somehow. I don't know. Get
They're
one of
not
those.
quite as sexy as your regular legs, I promise.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Tara, what do you think makes you successful in real estate?
What makes me successful? Well,
Mhm.
I think drive and ambition and refusing to fail. I think that doing the best for those around you, that is another thing. The people around me drive me to be better. I surround myself with incredible people, so I have to keep getting more incredible every single day in real estate. If you surround yourself with people that are less than you usually step down to them. But if you surround
Yeah.
yourself with people that are better than you have to step up to them. So I try to get around people that I want to be like instead of people that I want them to be like me. So
Mhm.
I think that that's what's driven me in real estate. Just always stepping up to the next level and realizing that you're never going to reach the top. There's always going to be another level to step up to once you hit the next level.
I definitely subscribe to that. Have you always been that way, or did it just at one point kind of that drive and ambition hit you when you got into real estate? Maybe it was a year, or have you always been that way with everything you do?
I think I've always been that way. I mean, I've always had the mentality that you can laugh or cry about something. So I've always chose to laugh about it and move forward. I mean, I've never played the victim. I think that is a terrible place to be, and you don't have control when you're the victim. So any situation in my life, I've looked at it and go, okay, I can do better than this. I can do better than this, and I keep moving forward. And I'm a really
Did you
tough talk.
did you come from like a big family? Did you have like a lot of siblings, or?
No, I have a sister, and she works at Levinson Real Estate. Tiffany Bondurant. You've probably talked to her. She's my sister.
Yeah.
She's our closing coordinator. I have a brother, and he does contract work. And then just my dad died when I was 25. Yes, he died when I was 25. And then my mom lives locally, and she's remarried. But our life was not all roses like growing up. So I think that's actually, I think it's easier to do great in life whenever you come from something that is hard because you're born as an overcomer. I
Yeah.
think whenever things been given to you, it's a lot harder to be incredible in life.
Adversity builds character or
Yeah,
reveals it.
you
Yeah,
have to have something to push against.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're starting off at a level of discomfort. So it's like if you
Yeah.
start off like super comfortable, it's like when you have to, really push it, get you up every day. That's cool. So were you like the oldest, youngest, middle child, or where do you fall within that mix of siblings?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm sure you give advice a lot to your siblings. So what advice would you have given your past self in real estate? If you could go back in time and kind of give yourself some advice when you first started off, what would you tell yourself?
I take a lot of my own advice. So I think if I could give anybody else advice, and I just don't take yourself so seriously. I try to laugh at situations and daily and realize how stupid little things are. But I think that especially in real estate, agents get hung up on such small little details whenever it matters so minute. Like,
Oh, don't
this,
they?
like holding this transaction together. I'm like, it's really important to hold this transaction together, but you know, if it's going to fall apart, at least let it fall apart and move on.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Don't take yourself so seriously. That's good advice for
Well,
a lot of people.
I coached with Drew Lee. I don't know if you know who Drew Lee is, but I coached with him for a lot of years, like 10 years I coached with him, and I love him. He's incredible. Like, if you get an opportunity to coach with him, he's fantastic. And I coached with him for 10 years, and one of the best advice that he ever gave me was just say next, Tara. I was young, and we had just started building our real estate company, and I had a buyer's agent, and we had somebody that had looked at a house and decided they didn't like our buyer's agent. So instead of calling us back and going, hey, I want to write a contract. I don't really love this agent. Will you write it for us? She actually went to another company and bought with them. And I was so angry because I had nurtured this client for months until I passed her off to a buyer's agent to put her under contract. And I was so mad about it. And I was telling him, I was like, I have a buyer brokerage agreement and they're buying the house that I showed them. And I'm going to go to the commission and do this. And I'm going to have them pay us for that transaction. And he said, Tara, how much time is that going to take? I said, it's going to probably take a lot of time. And he's like, how many other people could you put under contract in the process of messing with that little bitty tiny commission? Because it was like $120,000 house. And I said, that is so true. He's like, you need to learn to say next. So when it's over, let it be dead and move on. Don't keep messing with it because it stinks.
That's the old spending good money after bad money kind of analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes right along with that. So how long did it take Tara to get her first closing?
Me, 90 days. I mean, I was really young, so that was a really long time ago. So to remember far I think it took 90 days because when I got my real estate license, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I just got it because I thought we wanted to flip a couple houses, and I knew I could do a better job at buying houses for us, is what I thought.
So you were playing the investment angle of, hey, I can probably get access to the good deals.
Yes.
Might as well get my real estate license. The last clown, didn't do a good job. At least you can get your offer at, if you're the one putting it in. That makes sense.
Exactly.
So 90 days. Cool.
Hey, is the person that that botched that whole multiple offer situation that went to the lake, are they still in real estate?
I don't believe so. It was an older gentleman, so he's still in real estate. He's very old.
Well, there's a bunch, so.
Yeah. He would have to be in his 90s at this point.
Perfect. Out there selling the Great Depression.
Yeah.
What did your support look like when you got into the business? Were you and Peter like a team automatically, or did he get in later, or what did that look like?
So I got in 2003, and Peter got in 2007. So there wasn't a whole lot of support. I mean, the only thing I really had was Mike Jones, who owned Coldwell Banker at the time. He passed away, I think, about 6 months ago. But he was really the only support that I had at the time. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I was going to do. That's kind of been my whole motto in life. You may not know what you're doing, but just do.
Interesting year that your husband got into real estate, 2007, right before everything happened. What did that look like in your business as he's just getting into it? You've become a seasoned agent at that point. What did that look like around that time?
Well, in 2007, I think I was doing 80 transactions a year. So, I mean, he basically could have quit his job anytime. I was making quite a bit more money than him at the time. And
shout out.
He was gone all the time. Like, he worked for Best Buy and he was traveling all the time. And I finally just told him, I was like, there's going to be a man that's going to sleep in my bed. It's going to be you, or it's going to be another man. So you need to make the decision. Either you're going to stop traveling and stay home and sleep with me, or I'm going to find somebody else to sleep in my bed. I'm tired of sleeping by myself. So he said, I want to do it. Can I stay home and do it? And I was like, yeah, I would like that. Thank you. So it was like, honestly, it was going to be the end of our marriage if he didn't quit traveling all the time. So he made a decision first to stay with me, and then he made a decision to be in real estate. Because when he started, he just was like my assistant. He would run flyers or signs or whatever I needed to do. And
was he your first assistant, or did you have kind of like an assistant or buyer's agent before Peter stepped in?
I didn't hire him to be my assistant. I don't want you to think I brought him on to be my assistant. That would be a big mistake to say that.
Natural duties that just happened. I guess.
Now, he is actually the broker of the office, and of course, we're both owners, and he makes most of the big decisions of the office. He started out as being the assistant that he just did what I needed him to do the overflow work, and then we hired an assistant about a year after he came on.
Gotcha.
No, I didn't. No way. He's never been my assistant. Oh my God.
Well, I feel like I'm my wife's assistant in a lot of areas. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad term, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's there making business decisions along with you in it. So I get that. That's cool. Okay, so what's the support system look like today for you?
And we have a very big team. And like I said, we coach with Tony Robbins, so that helps out a lot. I've always had a coach. Drew Lee was incredible for the 10 years that I worked with him. I think that he probably made me who I am today. And he coaches with MAPS, which is through Keller Williams. But he sends me his webinars to listen to all the time, and I still listen to him. But Peter, my husband, he's the broker of our office. We have incredible closing coordinators. We have a really good support staff. We have great agents that are on the team that support us a lot and move us forward. And then I have my girls. My girls are 27 and 25. So Tiara is actually on our team, and she works as an agent. And then Tasha, she just decided a month ago to step down from the company and be a stay-at-home mom. So she's doing.
So these are your daughters that are actually working in the business with you?
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Cecilia yesterday, because you said you were going to do a special Mother's Day thing, and I was like, I was not a good little kid mom. But I'm an amazing adult mom. I love having adults.
Yeah, you're doing kind of like the dream. That's what I've got a 12-year-old and 8-year-old, and that's kind of my vision is at some point, if they want to, obviously. I don't know kind of how those conversations were, but it's like at some point you're going to get your real estate license, whether you're working in the family business or you're not. It's just a good thing to have. It's interesting to kind of see how that's played out and with your kids. I think that's cool. I think you should be really proud.
I am. I never really wanted either one of them to get their real estate license because I told them it's the hardest money you'll ever make. You work so hard.
Oh, really?
And so I wanted them to both get a degree and go to college, and both of them did, and they got degrees in things that were other than real estate. And then both of them decided halfway through, they're like, Mom, I really do enjoy the business. And I was like, if you get back in, I never want you to say that you're in real estate because your mom's in real estate. That was always with my kids. I wanted them to be able to carve their own path out in the world. Because I was given that opportunity. I got to make my choices. I think kids should be free to make their own choices and their own futures. So that was always my thing is I don't want you to fall in real estate just because it's what me and your dad do. I want you to do real estate because it's what you've chosen to do. Because, the case, you have to think to yourself, if I have all these agents on my team and then my kids are here, I'm harder on my kids than I'm going to be on anybody else on my team. I'm really hard on my kids. And I've been hard on my kids growing up. I worked too hard for them to just get away with stuff. So letting them fall into the business, they knew it was going to be not an easy path for them. But they chose
it's got to be tough to have your mom as your boss or your leader. But
and to be an uber successful real estate agent in the market.
I got to live up to mom here. She's selling X amount of houses each year. That's their parent.
It would be hard for me going to a salary job making like 60, 70, 80,000 a year, looking at mom out here crushing it. And it would be hard. I'll be like, all right, let's do this real estate thing. I can make some money and have a little bit more free time.
Yeah, Tiara is incredible. She's 27 now, and she was started in the business in 23. She's consistently made over 6 figures in the business.
Right.
That's you raise good kids. You're a great business owner and obviously a great mom. And I think the way she runs her team and everything probably speaks to that too. So cool. What disillusions, Tara, did you uncover that you may have had when you first got into it that you could really?
I was young. I didn't think I had any illusions about the business. I think life gets you exactly what you expect of it. So you have to build up your expectations for what you want out of life and you have to go for them. I think there are disappointments, but the truth is you can learn from those disappointments. That's education. I believe highly in education, and I believe you're going to get it one way or the other. And most of the time you're going to pay for it. And I don't believe anything in life is I don't believe life happens to you. I believe life happens for you. So I'm always going after life, always. So I don't think I was disillusioned. I think I was like, I didn't see that coming. So what's the next step to get what I want?
Dude, that's good programming right there. Who's your inspiration? Yeah. Who's your inspiration in life?
Inspiration. So in real estate, I always thought that maybe Brad Reeser, I think he's kind of amazing. I think that just the man in general, the way he talks, the way he thinks, the way he moves. I mean, I just think he's such an incredible guy. And whenever I was a kid, and please don't say he's that much older than me, but when I was a kid, I would see his signs and I would think, oh, how amazing it would be to have that many signs in yards. And then one day when I passed him, I was like, holy crap, I passed Brad Reeser. So, which that was like the iconic moment. He was my standard in real estate always. So I think he's amazing. I love Karen Blevins too. I think she's an incredible producer. I think she's a sweet, sweet lady as well. So I have a couple different people that I think are amazing in the business, and they set the bar for me. I mean, you have to have somebody to push you forward, and those are the people that sharpen my sword on a daily basis. Of course, I want to beat them. I always want to beat them, but I want them to stay up there close enough to me that I can't. If they start falling that behind me, then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't have anybody to compete with.
Do you hear that competitive nature? Of course, I want to beat them, right? That's awesome.
Then you just start competing with yourself like you're Michael Jordan or something, and just looking at it and going, well, this is what I did last year. I'll beat that. So
yeah,
that's what they're doing.
We do set our goals based on what we did last year for sure. I don't set my goals to be like I want to do this much more than this agent does. I mean, I always want to beat myself, but at the same time, I like to go into a competitive situation and go, wow, that was a good game, after we're done. And if somebody wins, like, if I lose to a Brett Boone in the world or anything like that, I want to shake his hand and be like, yeah, you beat me. That's incredible. Good job.
Do you play sports growing up? Is that where that comes from, that competitive drive, or is that just something that's just built in?
I didn't play sports. I don't know. I worked out and I cheered in high school, but I'm short. I'm 5'2", and there's not a whole lot of sports that somebody that's 5'2" can do. So
right.
It's my game.
Right.
Okay. What's been your most embarrassing story ever in real estate that you want to share?
Okay, so I thought about this one whenever you sent the show notes over, and I was like, who shares their most embarrassing moment? So I was on the phone with Greg Roberts' assistant at the time, and I was trying to set up a showing with her, and I'm leaving her a message, and I'm like, hey, I just want to set up that showing. I'm actually going to be a little bit late, but I want to go ahead and still show it. And can I cuss?
Yeah, go for it.
Somebody cut me off and then flipped me off, and I was on a voicemail with her, and I was like, fuck me, fuck you. And I was like, hung up the phone really fast, like maybe if I didn't record it or something.
Oh, you were still on the phone.
Yeah, that's why I left, and she called me back, and she said, wow, Tara, you take people not answering their phones seriously. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I thought I'd hung up in time.
What's so funny about that, Tara, is I know all the agents that have had interactions with you, you're just like the sweetest, nicest person ever. So to hear that type of voicemail is what makes it even funnier.
I was telling my husband about it, and they couldn't stop laughing, and I was like, I thought I hung up in time, but you know how like whenever you get caught doing something, like you're like, you stop really quick, you think nobody caught you. That's what I was like a little kid. I was like, oh, I gotta hang up. So.
That's a good one. What's been the scariest? I know you probably got some good scary, maybe showings or just in general stories.
I try to walk in confidence a lot and not be afraid, because I know that this business can be a little scary. But if I ever felt like something was not right on the phone, and I have a pretty good sense in my gut, I would take Peter to showings even before he worked with me. I'd take him to showings, and I think that's really great advice. If you get a check in your spirit that just goes, hey, this doesn't feel right, take somebody with you. There's no harm, no foul in that. I did have in which I do have my conceal and carry, and I can carry a gun with me, but I hate guns. not for the fact that, I mean, they scare me, but the fact that you could actually kill somebody. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could like take somebody away from their family. I could take a dad away from his kids or a mom away from their kids, and I could make a mistake. Like I could think I'm in danger and accidentally shoot somebody.
You're the kind of person that should be carrying a gun just because you go through that mental checklist of what you just did, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
I do have that mental checklist, but that's the reason I hate guns. So we have one in each one of our nightstands, and Peter has a ton of guns at home because we live out in the middle of nowhere. We have 5 acres in the middle of nowhere. So we have these guns, and every night I'll be like, you have your gun, right? And he's like, well, you have yours. And I was like, I'm not doing anything with this gun. If somebody breaks in, you're going to have to defend me because I'm going to be like, no, I can't shoot you. You don't understand.
Yeah.
You could be so much. I know so many people that
Let's talk about this first before you make this decision. Let's get over your life. You don't want
I try never to get scared because I'm so worried about other people all the time.
Oh man, that's someone breaks into my house. I'm turning into Liam Neeson. It's a wrap in here.
so much.
Anything to protect my kids, but my kids aren't home anymore, so now it's just me, and I doubt they're gonna hurt my dog. So.
Right.
What's been the most uncomfortable? Maybe it's been a closing that was stressful, or just what's been the most uncomfortable, like, stressful situation as an agent that you've been in?
I mean, that was actually recently. I had a transaction with another agent, and he's just a know-it-all, and he made the transaction more complicated than it needed to be. And then when we were finally at closing, we realized with the buyer, I was like, this is not the buyer. The buyer just wants to close. This agent is making things so complicated. And I think he just needed to show himself off, pump out his chest like he was doing something for the buyer. And he brought an addendum to me, and I was like, I'm not having my seller sign this addendum. Would you sign this addendum? Because it basically was open-ended addendum, and it was extremely uncomfortable in front of my seller. And then after it was all said and done, the seller came out and was like, wow, I've never seen somebody fight for their client that you fought for your client.
Was it like at a closing, so it was like in front of everybody?
That's so weird.
Me and that other agent were having words very loudly in the middle of a title company.
Man.
It was terrible. And I was like, it doesn't even have to be like this. Real estate nothing's a big deal unless you make it a big deal. That's one of my favorite sayings in real estate. You get a low appraisal, it doesn't have to be a big deal. We can work this out. But a lot of agents make everything a big deal. And I'm like, you're going to die of a heart attack. You can't make it in this business. I mean, when I started in real estate, our top producer he was amazing. And I won't mention his name because he's passed away now, but he was in our office. And sometimes I would tell my husband, I was like, if that is what real estate does to you, I don't know if I want to be in it. Because he was a little crazy. And then he ended up killing himself, and he killed his wife too. And I was like, I told you that real estate makes you crazy.
The old Chris Benoit.
Yeah. So whenever that happened, I was like, okay, I'm going to reevaluate my future. And so that's when I decided you can't let stuff stress you out in this business. It'll wear you out. So I'm like, that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. All my agents actually always say all the time, they walk around, they'll come in and be like, I have this problem. I'm like, they're like, I know, it's not a big deal.
That's good.
That story took a turn right there. I thought that was going a completely different direction. But wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Business can stress you out if you allow it to.
That's true. What's been the happiest story you want to share?
Getting to see my kids every single day makes me really happy. I mean, Tiara, both my kids are incredible, but Tiara lights my world up whenever she comes in the office. Tasha, she stays home, so I don't really get to see her until the evening because she lives in our guest house, which is amazing. So I get to see my grandson every day. But Tiara, she just makes my life better. She comes into the office and I can be having a bad day, and she just lights up with her crazy because she's full of crazy, which I love. She's beautiful crazy. And she makes everything better. Like when you think that your day is like you're worn out and down, she's like, what can I do to help? And then she says something because she has a really bad potty mouth. And then that makes you really laugh whenever you see this little 5-foot girl say that. But yeah,
wow, that's cool.
The best experience and the most happy is having my kids in the business and being able to see them every day.
Beautiful answer. Great answer. I like that. Um, how would what's been your favorite all-time story, maybe? And Tara, I know you've got like a million stories. I mean, you do about a million transactions a year, so you just do the math. I mean, if you were to pick your favorite story ever, what would you want to share?
Mm, I I love all my clients equally. I know but I do have some that I never want to work for again. But I have those ones that I do want to work for again. And I had this little single mom, and we had lost out on like 7 multiple offer situations, and she was going through a divorce, and it was just terrible. But whenever she actually closed and she put her arms around me and cried, and she's like, "This is amazing. I've never owned anything on my own." So that was probably my best thing, is whenever she finally had something she could call her own.
Oh, yeah, it's a definitely good experience. What's the best advice you've ever gotten in real estate?
And the one about where Drew told me just to move forward every single day. My email signature says onward, where every day you're just moving onward.
Is that how they came up with all those little something something carry on shirts that you see everywhere?
I don't think so.
It's a part of that slogan.
Gary Keller, his email signature says onward, and whenever his assistant Mindy would send me an email from him, because we used to be in his private group, it would always say onward, and I was like, I love that. You can't dwell on the past. You can learn from the past, but you can't dwell on the past. So I'm always about that. I'm always about next, and I'm always about moving forward.
Okay. What when did you know that you made it in real estate?
No, I don't think I've made it yet.
Come on.
No, seriously, I don't. I think that
What's the bar that when will you make it? What bar are you holding yourself? What standard?
when I die and I can leave my kids something worth leaving them. And
That's when you feel like but you've done that. So what would you say, like, I mean, you haven't died, but I mean, at what point would you say that you will feel or you felt like you've made it in real estate?
so I'll tell you a story. It's a really
Please.
good story. In 2007, when I told you that me and my husband were having marriage problems, and I was like, either you do real estate or you stay working for Best Buy. He told me, and this changed the way I looked at everything. So the wisest thing I've ever heard in my entire life was from him. And we were fighting, and I was like, "You're the one that's messed up, Peter. I'm not messed up. I'm perfect. My life executes at a high level." And I told him, everything is great. I take care of this, I take care of this, and I don't need to change. You're the one that needs to change. And he said, "So you don't think for the rest of your life you need to change?" And I said, "No, I think I'm great. I'm perfect." And he said, "That is the saddest thing that I've ever heard, Tara. It's the saddest thing I've ever heard, that you don't think you ever need to grow again." And I thought, okay. And I evaluate that all the time. So thinking that I've made it means that I don't need to grow anymore. And I always need to grow. I always need to change. I always need to be moving forward. You've never made it.
Chasing your future self, a better version of. I get it.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
who I'm
that's cool.
today is not who I'm going to be tomorrow. Thank God. Maybe tomorrow's better than today. Maybe that person I like more than I like the person I liked last week or today.
It's what they say, the blissful dissatisfaction. At the same time, you should be able to take in that gratitude, but not be content in a sense. That makes sense. So I get what you're saying. Cool. So how would how would you describe your personality? Let's start there first.
I think I love life. I try to choose adventure every single day, and I think every day is an adventure. We just read Who Moved My Cheese Again, which is
that's a great book. Yeah, I like that book.
Read it again, and I think I'm scurry. I'm always scurrying towards something. So I think everybody has a little bit of each personality from that book, but I think my tendency is to go through scurry, is just be like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. I wonder when I'll get too old to do that, like when I won't wake up and my feet hit the floor and I want to go, go, go. Like, I mean, last night we got home from the office at 6 o'clock, and I made dinner, and then we ate dinner, and then I was like, let's go work in the yard. And my husband's like, okay, this sounds like a lot of fun. So
is it therapeutic for you to work in your yard?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we paid pizzers to do it, but they can't get anybody to work right now. So they decided that they don't want to do big acreages. So now I'm doing it all on my own. Well, Peter's helping. He's on the riding lawnmower. He won't let me ride the riding lawnmower. He says it's too dangerous.
That's awesome. You guys are able to enjoy that task together. That's cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate that about you guys. What's a way that maybe somebody else has described your personality where you don't maybe necessarily agree with? We've all kind of had that too. So.
Well, I think we all see ourselves different than we are. I mean, I see myself one way, somebody else sees me a different way. I'm sure that I've heard that people think I'm a bitch. That's what, like, I'll have people that come and talk to me and they'll
That's
be
not
like,
true, Tara. I've never heard that. That's not your reputation.
well, that's good.
You're golden, so we won't go there. What's something that most people don't know about you?
Probably that I've been with my husband since I was 14, and I had Tierra when I was 16 and Tasha when I was 18. I think a lot of people think that we've not been together that long because Peter looks so much younger than me, but he's not. He's the same age as me. He just
Is it?
Yeah.
You didn't rob the cradle.
Yeah, we always go and when I get my nails done, they're like, your husband looks so much younger than you. And I'm like, thank you. So that's so sweet.
Exactly what you want to hear.
I'm sure he feels really good about it when you tell him that. He was probably good. Sure. Okay, Jake, you got some questions for us before?
Yeah, you talked about, being with your husband real early, having your first daughter at 16, second at 18. Did you like automatically just get locked in to just a money-making like goal, or did it take time to get to the place where you're you got into real estate and then really built a business? Where did that drive come from? Did it start right then, or did you develop that later? How did that go?
I'm not super money motivated. And I know people think that like you have to have drive and all that, you have to be money motivated. I'm actually motivated by being at the best at what I do. And every single thing that I get into, I want to be the best. I mean, there's been years that I could have made more money being less than what I am. Like the production that we bring in, it doesn't mean that you make a ton of money. You have a lot more overhead now. I mean, we have a ton of overhead. And, whenever I was individual real estate, making $500,000 all on my own, that was pretty much all profit in my pocket. Now we did just under $3 million last year in volume, and I made less money last year than I've ever made in my entire career, but I'm more fulfilled than I've ever been in
better quality of life.
Yeah, I have people around me that I think are incredible. I love the people I have around me, so I'm more fulfilled by that. But as far as moving forward and having the kids, I wanted them to be proud of me. I want my girls to think, wow, my she's amazing. She worked hard and she did what she needed to do to get to where she needed to be. I grew up in a house. My dad was a drug addict and committed suicide when I was 25 years old. And, it wasn't like my life was all rosy. My dad was a drug addict since I was a little kid. So, my dad was volatile. He was a really cool dude whenever he was cleaned up, but that was few and far between when we were kids. But
how old were you, did you say, when he passed? You say you're 24, 25, or?
20, I think I was 23 or 24 when he passed away. Yeah. And I had just gotten my real estate license, and it was pretty traumatic because he was clean for a year and we thought we were moving towards like a whole new life, which is one of the reasons we were going to do flips together, just because he was clean and we were like, hey, he needs something to do. This would give him purpose, because I'm all about giving people purpose. Sometimes I get too tangled up in that, and then I get my feelings hurt because I'm like, well, they had purpose. But
I do too. We're the same in that way.
So whenever he was clean for a year, he'd gone to rehab and was clean for a year, and then 2 weeks he relapsed. He killed himself 2 weeks later. So life's not always been really great and easy. My kids were little at the time, and they didn't have a grandfather. They've grown up without a grandfather. But giving them something, because they've had so much has been taken from them. They don't have that. We don't really have that big of a relationship with my mom anymore, because she's moved on with her life with her new spouse. So she doesn't really see our kids anymore. So giving my kids a whole feeling of what's great in life, what they have, to make sure they never feel like they lacked because they didn't have a grandfather.
And dude, I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna start crying. This is such a good how she's opening up about that stuff. But that's true. I mean, it really shapes your world, especially when you got little kids like that, and you guys had stuff to persevere. You want to make a better life for them. I'm
Yeah.
feeling that. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Anything else, Jake?
Yeah. What's your favorite coaching story? Like a coaching client that you've had that you maybe thought maybe wasn't going to make it that turned out to be killing it. You got anything like that?
Yeah, I have a top producer on my team now. And when she came 3 years ago over, she came from California, and got her license in California, and she'd never sold a house in California. And then she got here, and everybody on my team hated her. They were like, she's so negative. We don't like her, and all this different stuff. And I was like, why? And they're like, all she does is talk about how terrible things are in her life, and, being around me all the time. They couldn't believe that I would have somebody so negative in our organization. And about 8 months into organization, we coached with her, we trained with her. About 8 months into working, she started selling some houses, and now she's like the top producer on our team. But I walked by her one day, and I said, hey, how are you today? And she said, I'm really good. And she said, I really like myself now. And I said, I really like you now too. So it was kind of a good thing to be where she was so negative and so unhappy because she just didn't like herself. And as growing and making her see how incredible she is, she started liking herself. And now she's amazing. I mean,
So what did you see in her initially? If she was a negative person, what do you remember what you saw in her to say, I'm going to take a chance on this person and you have the potential to be great?
Well, she hit all of our core values because we live by our core values. She was continually pursuing growth and learning. And I think that as long as you're pursuing growth and learning, you have to change. There's no way that you can't change. And she embraced everything that I taught her. It wasn't like I'd tell her something and the next week she'd tell me the same story. She'd come back and she'd be like, hey, I thought about what you told me last week, and this is how I'm going to apply it to my life. I mean, she was always growing. So I knew that nobody else got to see those one-on-one conversations that I had with her, and nobody knew what she had been through.
Right.
I'm the only one that knew privately what she had been through and what she was growing from. So I think that if you can take the victim mentality out of people, because that's the first thing you have to do. Because people, if they see themselves as a victim, they can never see themselves as a
Some people are addicted to it. This story, though, you obviously were able to see it through to the end, and wow, that's pretty cool. But I'm sure you probably have stories where you don't have to go into it, but maybe that person was still stuck in that program. Hey, I got to leave it to her.
Yeah,
You just couldn't check out.
We've had people that have been on the team that we grew, and then they left and they did better on their own. I mean, there's agents out there that they weren't necessarily fit for the organization, but they'll come hug my neck and be like, I learned so much from you.
That's good. Good question. Any more, Jake?
I don't have anything.
Okay, so wrapping up kind of in our closing staple questions here, Tara. If you were to hire somebody to sell your house today, and you were not in the business,
Anyone on your team?
Yeah, you had to hire somebody to do that task for you, but you couldn't hire anybody that's on your team, obviously. You can't hire me and Jake, so I know you would.
Obviously.
What agent maybe in our marketplace that you'd want to show some love to and give a shout out to if that's who you'd hire?
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of Brad. I'd call Brad, and then I'd probably call Karen. Those two agents.
Cool. Good job. Okay, what makes you unique as a real estate agent in our market out of the 20-some thousand we have here in our state?
I think Peter is what makes me unique. I honestly do think that the reason that we're incredible is because we have two different brains, but we work on the same tasks. Like in the book we were talking about, which everybody needs to read that book. It takes like an hour to read, but if you read it even in the past, I think it's a really good time to read it.
Is that a children's book?
No, it's Who Moved My Cheese. It's not a children's book. It's about change and changing.
It's really short too, so if you don't like reading,
I mean, that's what would lead me to believe that it is a children's book.
No,
so that's why.
No, it's
Yeah.
a super great read, and it's even funny to read. So I was reading it to Peter, but there's Sniff and Scurry, which are the two little mouse, and the Sniff is the one that sniffs out change, and Scurry is the one that makes. It's like the integrator. They do things. You have the visionary and the integrator, and me and Peter, that's what makes us incredible. He's the visionary, and I'm the integrator.
That's good.
All right, I'll read it.
Okay, so where can the viewers find you, Tara, if they want to connect with you?
They can email me at tara@levinsonteam.com. You can find us on Facebook at LRE. So it's pretty easy to find me.
Awesome. Well,
Drive
thank you
around and
so
see one of the
much.
signs.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed the interview. I know Jake did. I know the viewers will. So I appreciate your time, Tara, and we'll see everybody next time. Thank you so much.
Hopefully I didn't bore you. Have a great day.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye-bye.